Yes, everyone, what's going on? These two are just arguing here about whether we've actually played Real Betis or not. We played them in the World Cup in a friendly, but we've never played them in a real game. And they're arguing very loudly while I'm trying to go live about whether or not that counts. What do you reckon? Does it count? I don't know if it counts. That's producer Chris and Ronnie, by the way, arguing. What's happening, everyone? Good afternoon. Are you having a right good day? Today's better than yesterday, innit? Because yesterday was absolutely dreadful, wasn't it? Right, today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about our expectations and have they changed after what happened on Sunday. What happened on Sunday? Don't worry about that. Just something happened. So we're going to move on and we're going to figure it out. So, did a video back in January where I said, 1, we'd win the Carabao Cup. 2, I thought we'd have the ability to progress past Barcelona, but not sure if we would go all the way. Want to win the FA Cup more than Europa League, but expect it will be difficult. And I also said, I think we'll come third in the top 4. So Carabao Cup, third in the league, probably fall short in Europa and the FA Cup, which, to be fair, still looks achievable, doesn't it? From this point here on in, if you had to put your money on it, could we do that? Yeah, I reckon we probably could do that, to be honest with you. Absolutely reckon we could do that. Now, our next 6 fixtures, we've got Betis at home, followed by Southampton at home in the Europa League, then Fulham in the FA Cup, which is a way harder game than I think people are thinking about, Newcastle and Brentford. On paper, not the hardest run of games United have ever had. Some frequency there, though a nice gap in between Fulham and Newcastle for an international break, which I think is well due for everybody, I reckon. So my expectations for the remainder of this season, well, the League Cup's in the bag. We dealt with that. Top 4. Now, I don't reckon we will fall far enough to finish 5th. I think my confidence on us finishing 3rd is not quite as resolute as it was, but I still think we finished top 4. I would say 3.5 is where we're going to finish. 3rd or 4th. FA Cup, well, we're in the quarters. That easily translates into a semi. And ain't a lot Leeds doing after that, in all honesty, then. Europa League's a little bit more of a longer way to go. This week will tell us. If Betis is negotiated quite easily, I think you see United in at least a semi-final of Europa League. Which means that we could see ourselves ending up with a cup double, which would not be bad, seeing as though Liverpool had a parade for that last season, if you remember rightly. Call that small time if we did it, but, you know, it's them and it means more. So what do you guys think? Where are we finishing in the remaining 3 competitions? Are we going to win any of them? Where are we going to finish in the league? Let us know. Thomas Moss says, do I think we prioritise the cups slightly over the league? That would be a mistake, I think. I think that would be a mistake. Adrian says, FA Cup, if we avoid City, we can win it. Well, I think depending where you draw on, if it's home or away, there's a totally different answer on that. We've been so good at home and so poor away from home. I think if we drew them at home, I wouldn't really be scared. Red says outside top 4 would be a disaster now. I agree, but I don't think it's going to come to that. Alex says result was bad, performance was embarrassing, but out of the last 4 games, Newcastle, Barca and West Ham, we had to lose 1. Would have definitely chosen the Liverpool game. Yeah, because of what it meant. Yeah, I can agree with that in a way. Simon says if we repeat what Liverpool did last season, potential. Court says, is there a reason why Ten Hag's reluctant to play Sancho on the right? I think it's probably to do with the fact that he spent 80-odd million on a right winger, in all honesty. Grace says, at the start of the season, I said I'd be happy with top 4. Ronnie says, has anybody heard if Casemiro is injured? I've not heard myself yet. I am very interested in finding out how it goes down. Menta says, 1 more cup and top 4 would be great. Chris says, does Bruno rest? Well, I've already recorded my preview for the Betis game. And yeah, I rested a few players and Bruno was one of those. Benson says, my Liverpool supporting friends have suddenly found social media again after their win. I mean, they're saying all sorts of things like they didn't concede 7 to Villa. I think, were they reigning champions when they conceded 7 to Villa? No, not a team in a rebuild. Does it hurt more because we did it to them? Yeah, of course it does. But do you know what I mean? Let's not pretend you've not conceded 7 as well. Ryan says, if we win the cup double, we'll be the greatest team of all time like they were last year. There were reports saying that I definitely will be finding. Ed says, not finishing worse than 4th. I think we can get to a final, probably the FA Cup. Yeah, I think the FA Cup seems a straightforward one. Yes, they were. I think that means they were reigning champions at the time. Sion says, the hate Bruno is getting really pisses me off. Keane decided to enact a professional revenge in a Manc derby. Nev booted a ball at a fan. That is professional. Pot kettle. I think it's the nature of it. I think no one... What Roy Keane did arguably hurt the team more than the whinging Bruno does. But there's a perception about whinging. I'm not sure quite exactly how to describe it, but it's almost like one is more palatable. It's almost more palatable and acceptable for you to be violent against opposition, and we as fans condone and enjoy that, versus, I don't know, you being a little bit emotional. And I guess his emotions involved in booting a professional the way he did with Erling Haaland. But do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Black Simba says, I think Ten Hag would love Osimhen's work rate. Me and Ronnie are going to do a video talking about Osimhen and Kane. Don't worry about that. Manta says, I think Sabitzer doesn't start because of Fred's work rate. I think he's got a good work rate. I don't think that's the thing, you know. KS says, Steed, the semi-finals of the FA Cup, but at Wembley. Oh, of course, yeah, I forget. Yeah, we can only play at Wembley now, can't we? Red says, the media are trying to get fans to turn on Vegas for touching the Anfield badge on the way out to the pitch. It was a dumb move, but let's not pretend there's anything more in it. There's not, is there? And yeah, people talking about Osimhen. The reason people are talking about Osimhen is Victor Osimhen has come out and said, I'm working hard to make sure I achieve my dream of playing in the Premier League one day. Can you imagine being at the club when you're like, he said what? It's a process, and I just want to keep momentum. Serie A is one of the top 5 leagues in the world, and it's an amazing feeling for me. You're absolutely sick, aren't you, if your main striker's coming out and saying that. But, you know, if you're the beneficiary of what he's saying, who gives a shit? Hit the like button and get your questions in. Dave says, I have a Liverpool fan friend of mine that died 2006. Text me on Sunday. Oh, I see where you're going with that one. Ayos says, is there any other opportunity to play Liverpool this season? Nope, because they're out of everything. AJ says, am I taking Mitrovic of a backup? Mitrovic wouldn't have been a backup for us this season. He'd have been leading scorer. Kowana says, what we were missing in Liverpool is central midfielder who's good at keeping possession. Unfortunately, all our options are injury prone to losing the ball. I mean, I agree. The team I picked was Casemiro, Sabitzer with Fred in the 10, Bruno off to the right-hand side, and have Marcus running at Trent. We didn't play like that. Now, do those things get us a 7-goal swing? I mean, we win the game? No. So there's more at play than that there. And I think I didn't think this would come to roost so quickly, but just take it on the chin and keep it moving, innit? Chris says, bookmarking all these tweets for when we smash the Dippers next season. Just bookmark them for all they achieved this season is beating United. Damien says, I'd honestly get rid of McTominay, Fred, Vegas, Maguire this summer plus more. I'd probably keep Vegas, to be honest, but the others, I mean, Fred's probably going to get kept around too. Is G-Nev going to apologise for lying about Bruno coming off? Probably not. Mix says the national break could be good for recovery for us. Hope Ten Hag makes people stay to train and recover like hell. Yeah. Personally, he needs to pull Fergie's old trick of you've got a knock, you've got a knock, you've got a knock, and you've got a knock. I don't know what obligations there are for you to release players for international duty, but I would be doing everything I could to not be releasing them for international duty. David says, is this just a blip or did we overreact to Ten Hag? In what sense do you think that we overreact? Who's overreacted? In what sense? Have we overreacted that he was good? Or have we overreacted that that was bad? Give me a bit more context on that. Eat My Shamrock says, having 2 home games this week is a perfect opportunity to get back in the swing of things. Yep. Carl says, the lack of depth in our squad is causing Ten Hag to play Bruno out of position. Yep. At least in some aspects of it, at least. Ed says there's a fear factor in Anfield for our... I think there's a fear factor in Anfield for our boys. Only 1 goal in 7 visits and conceded 15. Though that was only 8 in 6 before Sunday. Yeah. It's a rough place to go. I mean, if you looked at... everyone's results at Anfield aren't great. Liverpool are good at home. David says, did we overreact to his early success? No, I don't think we did. I think when people want to just look at, the cold, hard results of it all, it's going to show a certain set of things. And you can probably line up that, David Moyes did this, and Louis van Gaal did this, and Jose did this, and Ollie did this. But there is a feeling that is tangible. I mean, if you lined up Klopp's early seasons, they weren't much different to Brendan Rodgers. But amongst Liverpool fans, there was a feeling that that guy had them going in the right direction. And there is a feeling with Ten Hag that, I mean, the numbers are there as well, but there is a feeling with Ten Hag that he has got the ship moving in the right direction. And you are seeing the fruits of what we are capable of doing more often than not. We need to get a little bit tighter on those things if we want to be talking about winning the league. And I think we're a long way off being Champions League sort of contenders. But that's the ultimate goal. And you're not supposed to be anywhere near the ultimate goal after just 6 months. It took Jurgen Klopp 4 or 5 years to be able to turn Liverpool into the force that they were. So it's just going to take time. We're just going to have to work through it. Red Lad says, why do we always leave the opposition left back completely free when we press? Seems teams are starting to find a way there now. Here's why. You want to be +1 in the back line. You want to be man for man in the midfield. And you are never going to outnumber the opposition in their half because of the goalkeeper. And when teams have got goalkeepers that can play with their feet, they will use him. And they have then got at least a man advantage on you. It's 11 versus 10. So you have to decide who you're going to leave free. Now, if a team sets up and goes to their right, you try to box them in and you leave that fullback open. You can't mark every single person in that half of the pitch. You can't. And like I said, you want to be +1 in the back line. So what you're inevitably going to see is teams will set up to push one way and almost ask you to switch it to that side. Now, under pressure, if you can switch it to that side, then fair play. But most people can't. And actually, when the Betis preview drops tomorrow, keep an eye out on that because they do something super fucking risky that not a lot of people do. Go and check that one out. Notch says, if we left Robertson free because Anthony didn't help Delo leaving him and just having him pushing up too much. That's another thing. If people aren't just doing... if they're just doing... or not doing their job, then that's one thing. CR7 says, Ten Hag tactics is a genius. One man, Stephen. What does that mean? I'm not fluent in idiot. I'm sorry. David says, I tell you what, I'd hate to be Betis this week. Daniel Berry says, if you leave a player free, then there's no point in pressing. If you want to look, that's you are leaving people free. There is no way Unless you bring the goalkeeper in, there is no way for you to go man for man against the opposition. Somebody gets left free. Every single time, someone's going to leave somebody free. There's reasons for pressing traps and triggers is because you want to isolate people on your terms at the right time. You don't press all over a pitch at once at the same time. You don't do that. You try and box them into areas. Court says potential signings in the summer, Frimpong, De Jong and Oshman. We're going to get into some content in terms of looking at exactly who we should be bringing in. Has Wan-Bissaka made a case to be number one this season now? No, I think he's probably making the case to get a good value for him when we sell him. Do we need a new right back, says IR? I think we do. JSM says we lost a game we all knew was going to get hammered at some point. We move forward. Yeah. Black Simmer says Ten Hag's clearly just getting the hang of the Premier League. He's shown already very capable of getting his players motivated and has a tactical nous to change a game. Absolutely has. Oliver says United City is a real possibility at Wembley. Yeah, whether that's the semi or the final. Could be a big one. Flawless says I'd take Europa League over top four. You might, but the owners won't. Ian says think Betis and Southampton are the perfect bounce back games for us. And JSM says, in reality, we lost 3 points. Every team will drop points and it will be tight in the end. Yeah, it is ultimately just 3 points, but it does blow in a big way. Right back needs to be upgraded, says Flawless. I think that's one of the spots. I think another midfielder, a striker priority, a right back, and then another midfielder. And I think that's what we're going to try and go for. Thoughts on Arsenal winning the Champions League next season? They've literally won nothing. Why are we talking about them winning the Champions League? What do I think about De Gea? Is he the right man to move United forward? There's a big decision to be made. Is he willing to take a pay cut? Because you don't get value out of him being best goalkeeper in the world. So does he take a pay cut? Should he take a pay cut? There's a lot of big decisions to be made this summer, I think. Septic says, pundits were slagging off Anthony and now Bruno. Love being hated, shows we're doing something right. The Red Rising United fan channels dropped in a super chat, says, what about Casemiro and Sabitzer duo? Think it would work in reality rather than Casemiro and Fred? Yeah, I think they could work, although I don't think you'll see it this week. I think no matter what's going on with Casemiro, I think rest him and see how it goes. Matthew says Scott could have been a replacement for Matic, now 26, not near the quality. Should we sign a decent defensive midfielder who can replace Casemiro long term, or have an academy player learn from Casemiro? It's all of those things. If you look at how many players have been signed while Marcus was here, and he's kind of risen above all of them, just sign them. You know, you've got academy players, yes. Give them an opportunity, but also sign people as well and see how it works. Fardine says, I'd rather have top four, but doesn't Europa get you Champions League? It does, but it's a big gamble. It's a big gamble to have finished like 5th or 6th, and it means that the next couple of months are going to be disgusting for United fans. I'd rather have 3rd, nicely sewn up, and then go and win the cup just for the sake of winning the cup, not what it means. Leachin says, De Jong, Sabitzer, Frimpong and Oshman very much possible with new money in the summer. Yeah, could do that one. Kane on the cheap or all out for Oshman. Like I said, me and Ronnie are going to do a video on that, so stay tuned for that one. Kane won't be cheap. Imagine how I cope living with a Liverpool and Arsenal fan. I wouldn't. If I live with a Liverpool fan and an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't talk about football. I'd get some new mates, or I'd be in the group chats like, fuck. There's no way I'm going to be sitting there communicating with them all the time, because you're just not going to agree. It's oil and water. Those views are not going to mix. Forget about it. What's going on with Zidane? Not sure. I honestly thought he'd have been given a lot more time. Certainly thought he would have gotten ahead of Mainu, but Mainu seems to be getting in the mix, doesn't he? So, fair play to him. Carl says, incredible that this season of rebuilding, and yet we seem to have got the fear factor back. Next season we're going to be insane. Will Smith says, glad that 7-0 loss didn't happen after Brentford. Can you imagine? Red, I'm still confident that Arsenal will bottle the league. Not sure why. I don't think they're winning it still. Is it 12 games? Such a long time to go. It's such a long time to go. They only have to drop, 3 draws and City are ahead of you. You don't even have to lose. You don't even have to lose. Fardine says, who else other than Arsenal fans are threatening in Europa? There's still some tasty teams in there, for sure. Obviously, we can meet Robin Van Persie, I think, as well, can't we? Feyenoord in there still. I think that's one of those. Yeah, we still got some tasty teams, and particularly when we're going to be playing so many matches, there's still problems there. But yeah. Chris says, getting a vibe Thursday could be our biggest win. Getting Fergie bounce back vibes. Yeah. Abhinav says, don't want Haaland to win a Prem. Yeah, but I can take Haaland winning it. I can't take Arsenal winning it. Come on, man. Not Arsenal. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. As always, cheers for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you lot in the next one. Laters. Thank you for watching the video. If you are new around the